Okay, now we're ready to do step 4, which is to install the oar and swing arm assembly onto the outrigger. First thing we have to do is to remove it from the packing crate. This is held in here with a 3/4 inch nut. Remove these bolts, nuts, and washers. Again, this is spare material. We're not going to use it. Lifting this out in one piece while it tries to flop around is a bit challenging. What I'm going to do here is grab on to the built-in handle, and I'm going to grab up here to the nearest thing that I can get my hand on, and we're going to try to work this up off the bolts. There we go. My goodness. Okay, now I'm going to reach around, holding it against me. I'm going to grab the other handle, and I should be able to come over here and very carefully install this on the machine. Now, you'll see a series of holes here. There are a series of holes on the opposite side of this beam, and they engage some pins. This is how you adjust the oar pin position relative to the footboards, and it is in 1-inch increments. So you have to make sure that the holes that are on the back side of this beam engage those pins, and they have. It's tight. What I'm going to do next, take this bolt, which is, you remember, was holding the piece of wood onto the end of the outrigger when it was in the box. It goes right here. Now I've chosen to adjust the oar pin in the second to last position in the forward direction. Each coach and each oarsman is going to have their own opinion as to where they want the pin. It's going to be based on having enough reach and having the correct feel. But essentially you have the option of a total of 5 positions. So I'm going to tighten this down. There we go. That's now tight. If you remember, we took this off in step 3. Now we're going to replace it. The only purpose of this little fitting and this little roller is to keep this beam from falling off on the ground when you try to change the oar pin position. It allows you essentially to take this bolt out, move the beam out, slide it back and forth, put it where you want it, and reassemble without having it fall onto the ground. So what we used last time was a 9/16. Here we go again, the 9/16. Basically, this does not have to be super tight. I basically want this to be able to spin slightly loose. That's fine. The next thing we need to do in step 4 is take the protective foam off the end of the oar handle. And again, we'll use the 9/16 wrench. We're going to remove the retaining bolts. And now we have the last piece which is still in the original shipping crate. This is the wooden handle itself. It takes a 1/2-inch wrench. Pull this off. Very good. Here's the oar handle. You'll notice that it has a groove cut on one side, which I have marked here with a marking pen. Inside this tube is a raised area, which is the weld that they made when they formed this tube. And this groove is designed to allow you to insert the handle over that weld without it hanging up. So there, the weld happens to be on the bottom side. This groove's on the bottom side, and you just have to line them up, and you should be able to slide this in and out. The oar handle has 2 positions depending upon how long you like the oar to be. I'm going to put it on the outward position now, and I'm going to reinsert the mounting bolts. I'm going to run these in a little bit with the wrench. There we go. And I'm going to put the nuts on. As the final step, we tighten down the oar handle mounting bolts. There we go. We've installed the oar handle. Now we'd like to go back to our parts box, small parts box. What we have here is the counterbalance spring and an extension tube that it mounts on. The counterbalance spring is designed to balance the weight of the oar and to some extent simulate the feel of the oar when the blade is floating on the water. I'm going to cut this open. Pour out the spring, hook, and the tube. We're going to need to use the 7/16 socket and the 7/16 wrench to take this bolt off of here. There we go. You'll notice that there are a series of holes. These are adjusting holes so that you can adjust the spring position for the feel that you like. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to slide this tube onto the shaft or pin. You'll notice that the holes are facing away from the handle of the oar. I'm going to put my mounting bolt in here, and I'm going to tighten this down. Okay, now we have the spring and the S-hook. S-hook goes here. I'll just put it in the middle one for now. Whoops, decided to sink in there now. There we go. Okay. And take the packing out. The packing is just designed to protect the paint in transit. I'll hook that onto there. I'll pull it down and put it on the S-hook. Okay, now we have the oar counterbalanced. Everything is installed. We're now ready to go to step 5 of the assembly of the gamut.